getting ready to start the meeting.
All right.
Okay, I know Sal wants to do it first, but let's just get the approval of the minutes out of the way, and then we have a motion to approve the minutes from July.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second,
I'll second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, before I make any remarks, Sal is here, Sal Cosio, and he wants to give a roads report so he doesn't have to hang around for all the rest of us pain and agony. Go ahead, Sal.
Good afternoon, so,
Bonnie Blake is on the phone.
good evening.
Hey, John.
First of all, this is my first time at the meeting, and so I'm not exactly sure what it is that you're looking for. However, I know that I've stayed busy looking at some different complaints that have come through. Some of them we've looked at together, some of them I've looked at with Chris as well. And I think we made some real progress, and made several some recommendations which you have, and I think the rest of the committee has as well. I'm not sure if you want to go down by each one or just recap each
Well,
one.
why don't you just recap the ones that probably need some attention and maybe some money and maybe board approval or whatever.
Okay, so let me first go up here to the property on Mill Creek. No, excuse me, let me just start with the Benopolis property, 12964 Pine. This is a property which has a severe water runoff in there, and every time that you get some major rain, we have lots of all the debris and all the rocks and everything that's been in place before completely washes out. I recommend that we put some stones so we can direct the water to follow the natural path that we have that goes through exactly to the flow. So I don't know if you guys want to look at the map or however you want to handle it, but that's really my recommendation on that one. I think I know you've looked at it as well, and
Yeah, I have.
and Chris has looked at it as well. So,
Yeah, I know where it is, yeah.
It's basically the swale there just had the crushed rock, on the side of the pavement, which it's enough of an incline, and anytime you get any fair amount of rain, it's gonna start washing that stuff down, we know what's happened. So I think what Sal was, or what we thought was putting in larger stone in there, in that swale to help hold that and direct the water down into the natural, there's a natural swale that goes down and then goes out through the culvert out. that we just finished.
So, yeah, I was just saying that, we just put it in the
Yeah.
culvert, okay.
it's my recommendation that we try to alleviate it. I don't know, so put some rocks in there, make sure the water flows where it's supposed to. So,
Okay. And I would just consider that part of our normal maintenance. I think I guess the next step would be to have to get an estimate or two.
Well, there's actually a couple that are similar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you just mention those.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, 'cause
So,
they're-
and let me just head on over to 544 Beach and Surf Drive. That's a very similar situation there. Again, water, there's a pipe, the flow is so much that it's showing. The trees are getting bare, exposing all the roots. It's quite a bit of water that comes through there as well, and we just recommend that we contain that, the water, and put some rocks, same as I'm recommending with Benopolis, so that the water goes where it's supposed to go. So similar situation as that. Does everybody know what that is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think those are probably the two main ones that we have another situation in Chris is going to look at this as well. But is this the one on 1279 One Mill Creek?
Yes, above
Yeah.
Anchor,
Yes.
yes. And actually, that's going to be part of the paving contract, which the bid opening is tomorrow. He added, to do a little milling in there and fill with, asphalt. to get us through, I think, because I think it's on the paving schedule for next year, Mill Creek is. So that's gonna have more of a semi-permanent repair anyway.
So
Okay.
that's three, and I think those are the main ones.
You know, I think we have a similar situation on Surf, where you're talking about the rocks. We put the rocks in for the drains around the tree roots. The side of the pavement has also been, I think it's more from traffic than from water. But where we get traffic-
I asked him about that last week, and he said rather than like doing an update or change to the request for proposals, that he would simply, when they're here, kind of like, it's such a minor little thing,
Right,
that he'll just ask them to take care of that as well.
okay.
Kind of slide it in there.
Yeah, and I think directing, putting the rocks there, the water in the right place would keep for any further, if it is causing any of it, it'll keep for any further erosion of that, so.
Okay.
The only other thing I would add, the pre-bid for the paving contract was last Wednesday. 4 contractors came, attended the pre-bid, Great Mills, of course, CAD, ECS Corporation out of Jessup, Maryland. I think they bid last year as well. And Mona Contracting, which I'm not familiar with. Shehai was not there, but they did ask for any additional information, which I sent out to her. The bid opening is tomorrow. And then, so that's after a board meeting. So my thought is, under Chris's recommendation, I'll send to you his recommendation, the price and so on. And then if you'll send out an email to the board to say, you know, do I hear a motion, blah, 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 get it, and then at the next board meeting, affirm the decision. Because we don't want to wait until September just to get a board meeting, or, I mean, yeah, to have a decision made.
Right.
So, and then I'll be sending letters out.
Jack probably should look at it too, just to make sure.
Well, okay, yeah, the two of you then, okay. Yeah, because of the budget. And then once we have the contractor, you know, approved, I'll send letters out to everybody that's affected. I've got them isolated, and I'll just print out a letter and some labels. And that's all I have.
Anything else, any questions for Sal, or? Welcome to our cozy little meeting.
I wasn't quite sure what
What to expect.
to bring up or what's going on, but I'm pretty flexible with my schedule, and I'm happy to help out in which way that I can, so.
Great,
All right,
You appreciate it.
appreciate you,
Yes,
appreciate
we
you.
do.
thank
Yeah,
you so much.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's it, just, and a lot of these things, I find out it's not really an issue that has to do with anything that's been done wrong or that we're not doing, it's just an issue where natural causes.
Yeah.
Water,
Right.
So I spend a lot of my time just talking to people and,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what's going on, so.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Sal.
And if you ever present a report that we don't like, we'll introduce you to the rack next door.
No, well, elect him to the board.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's why I'm out of here.
Good idea.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, I guess this is my first comment. Sorry to have to do this, but I think with the numbers coming up and I sent you information, the numbers are definitely coming up. They're not as bad as they, got in the past, but this Delta thing is, it's real. And it's causing some breakthrough cases and things. So I think we're just better off to be safe than sorry. And definitely if unvaccinated, I mean, just for your own protection. So any questions about that or rebuttals or anything?
No, a comment, if it really becomes serious, then we should all get N95 masks, because these things don't work.
Well,
Well, I've been checking into N95 because I'm gonna fly, yeah, maybe. Anyway, that's the plan. And I noticed that there are N95 and KN95.
N95s are made in China.
I know they are. Yes, I know that, and what it says on, it's hard to find N95, but,
No,
What?
no, it's not.
oh, okay, but if I may finish, thanks, I've had a very long day. The K N95, it said the difference is that they're not recognized as an NIOSH or something, whatever that agency is, and also they're not as breathable.
Oh.
That's what I read online, and you're right, Bonnie, I did find them, there's not as large of a selection, that's what I should say, I guess, of the plain old N95.
I've got it at my local Ace Hardware here, but that's,
Oh, did you?
and
Okay.
there are a bunch of them.
Oh, I will check then, thank you,
Mhm.
so.
Okay. Anything else on that?
I should check.
Pardon me?
Go to my phone, because I'm flying too, I'm like.
Yeah, no, if I
Yeah.
were flying, I
Yeah.
wouldn't do it with one of these.
Yeah, no, I know.
I know,
Well,
so anyway.
I mean, they're better than, certainly
Yeah,
better.
and they're hard.
Much,
to
much
keep
better
on,
than
so-
nothing, but,
Yeah,
what you don't wanna do is get the ones that have little ventilators in them.
yeah.
No, I've heard those are
good.
not
Yeah,
good.
'cause
Well, you
still
can't,
spread it
you can't
everywhere.
use those in a lot of places, which makes sense, because you're actually, that's allowing
It's kind of-
some transfer of.
With that, yeah.
Also, the sports ones, that are made out of the nylon, whatever the fabric
yeah,
is
yeah,
made
yeah,
out
yeah,
of,
yeah.
that's the same thing, it makes the particle smaller, it actually makes it spread more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. Right, I'll just mention that I, last week stopped, spent about a half hour with Peter and Susan. He actually looks better than I anticipated, than I was prepared for. He's gained a little weight. He's got a lot more hair than I do. He's got more hair than you do.
Hey, easy.
Still got good attitude. He's on a kind of a maintenance chemo program. It's not as severe as it started out, but still, he still has to do it. And he's still very careful and cautious. You know, I definitely wore a mask when I went in to see him. He appreciated that. But, you know, they both seem to have good attitude.
That's good, that's good.
That's good.
A major part of it. And he, well, Maggie's not here, but he definitely volunteered, you know, any help he can give by phone or questions or whatever on the safety area. So, if you pass that on to Maggie, if she has any questions or anything, or questions about anything back there.
Next time when you talk to them, can you relay that we all wish him well?
Yeah, please do that for us, yes.
Yeah, I did that. Told him we all think about him.
Good.
Okay. Now, I guess we were remiss in not electing officers last month.
We were,
I tried to get out of here. Okay, so
we
what's,
blame Tony again, he's the one that reminded me,
After the meeting.
after the fact.
yeah, I know. So what do we need to do?
Make a nomination, it's been handled a couple of different ways, if you know that somebody here really, really wants to be president, you would nominate them.
Raise your hand.
In other years, somebody has made a motion to carry the same slate of officers forward. Mike, this is your second year that we're in as officer,
Yes.
so you're fine, you can be president.
Oh, I
3
know.
years. And the other officers have no, time limit. You can be treasurer the rest of your life, Jack.
Okay, well,
Just saying.
is there anybody who will not want to assume their current position for the next year? Bonnie, are you okay?
I'm fine with that, Mike.
Jack?
Want is not the right word. Willing to
Willing.
continue.
Chomping at the bit.
I don't-
Tony?
Yeah, it's fine by me.
Okay. And I guess I'll say yes, so.
Yay.
Do we have we could do by motion of acclamation, we could do individual votes.
Are there any other nominations? Seriously though, if
Are there
does
any other
anybody want
nominations?
one of these jobs,
Okay.
well then we can just do it by acclamation, I guess. Or
So,
just-
Or a motion, a second, either kind, I guess. Doesn't there have, I think there has to be a motion.
well, we should have a non-officer make a motion if that's the case.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
second.
Okay, the motion is to accept the slate of officers as we currently have by acclamation? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of that?
I,
Opposed? Okay, I guess we're,
You said that out loud, right?
I stopped. Okay. Oh, I should have said, one other, I guess, remark on the president, from the president, going back.
Well, it's a new administration, so you can do that.
I was reminded that some of us could have been drinking wine tonight,
Ah, yes,
But-
that's,
from one of our local merchants who has helped us out. But,
Yeah.
my answer basically was, much as I'd rather be doing it, drinking wine that is, well, I shouldn't say that, this is much more about that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I felt like it was, without having discussed it prior and had prior board approval, would be bad precedent to start swapping meetings around based on our individual druthers. So, what I did do though is I went up and talked to Carolyn at the Production Line. The reason she did it this time was because she had one particular wine merchant, or I guess a vineyard, that was only available to do it this time. So that kind of drove her schedule. She said she will try to keep in mind the first Tuesday, having many of her customers.
that's what they,
So anyway, well,
and this guy came in from he called her and came in from California,
Right.
so.
Oh, wow.
so if, you know, yeah, we
I'm
could,
not quite sure I understand, what
So like,
Production Liquors has, up until last year, it was doing, about once a month or sometimes more. She would do a wine tasting up there,
Mhm.
and, you know, it was a kind of a limited audience because of the size of the place. So she would send a message out, and then she'd take the first however many responders, you know, to that. And then it would be kind of a stand-up, and No Time to Cook would cater the food in, and it was just, you know,
It's
20
fun,
bucks or
it's a
something.
lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
She was gonna do it just for a group?
No,
She
no,
does
no,
that
it's
at the
not for the public.
Yeah,
But-
it's just like inside the store.
But it happens that about half of her public tends to be
Well,
from this board.
Yeah.
But anyway, a bunch of lushes. So,
You notice Carol and Cindy are right there.
I know they
Yeah.
are. Don't rub it in.
but
Anyway,
the appetizers are also good.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
they go with the wine or-
well, everything is good. So anyway, they,
Yeah.
long story short, COVID, they had to stop, ended up doing virtual
Yeah, Zoom.
ones with No
Zoom,
Time to Cook
yeah.
and the winery, so you go down and pick everything up and take it home, and do it on Zoom.
Yeah, we did
Well,
that.
she's now restarting, now of course this may
this may put
throw
it.
that throw it, yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
Anyway, so that's where we're at. So I will try to prevail on her if she can, not to have them on the first Tuesday. Okay. Office update.
Okay, I sent out mid-year statements last week. I sent 178 that were just in arrears for the current fiscal year. So those are out. I have another 125 or so over there that are more than 1 year behind. So I took those and I had to stamp them, past due. So those will go out this week. And then I have another stack of people who will get that same claim form that I won't yet submit, but, you know, I'll attach that. I'll wait until they're 3 years back to do that. And then I've got a couple that I'll actually be filing a claim that sort of ignored me last year. So we're doing well on that, I think. Got a notice just today from Tom Shields' office. There's gonna be a rate increase. Not, I don't think on the retainer, that's not mentioned, but the legal services over and above, from $3.75 an hour to $3.95 an hour. And for the assistant, from $1.50 an hour to $1.95 an hour. Just keeping in mind, you know, make sure you want to ask that question before you ask that question. And also the furnace had its yearly check warranty work and so on done on it, and the man found that the firebox has a crack in it. So I had him give me, they were gonna order the part, but he also gave me a price, which I think Mike, you need to take these home and study them. A price on a new furnace, along with a new air conditioner unit versus just the furnace versus, and I got two different companies, Southern Maryland Oil and Leach, is that how you say it? Leach and Leach. The thing of it is, I also got an email just yesterday, actually it was a voice message from Southern Maryland Oil, and they really didn't think they were gonna be able to find that part, but they did, and it's under the warranty. So it really would cost us nothing to have it repaired.
Oh.
So I thought we would do that, and then if you want to, Mike, because you know what you're looking at, I'm sure, to take these home and study and decide which one would make sense if we wanted, but they're not even apples to apples. Southern Maryland Oil does, it's a really good brand, I think. Oh, yeah, it's two different brands, which I don't know how you're supposed to compare when it's two different brands.
But is it the same part, the firebox?
The firebox is one thing. I think that, given that it's under our warranty, we should do that.
Yeah, we do that.
But I just meant for future reference, if we want to look at these and decide which one we would want, this is from Lee.
Most of this I file under, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's right,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, then I will call them and have
But
them go ahead and order the part.
I'll take a look at it, but I think we ought to just go get
Especially if they have a part.
the firebox fixed.
And it's
Yeah.
warranted.
That's a safety.
It is, and that's what he said. Also with fumes, it's a safety issue.
Now, did Leach identify the firebox also
Yes.
as being?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was the main reason I wanted to get to it. I wanted to get both of them to say, yeah, that's broken.
Right.
And then,
All right, I will, have them go ahead and order the part. They have to order it. They want to get my go ahead, so I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. And, so you were saying.
So Leach couldn't get the part, or?
Well, I didn't even ask them to look. I mean, considering that yesterday I had, he just came in today, Leach did. And yesterday I had the email from Southern Maryland Oil saying, oh yeah, it's part of your warranty work and so it won't cost you a dime.
Right.
So why would I get a price from Leach?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's it, yes.
I was totally confused by
This
as
is,
you can imagine. One is the heat furnace with the air conditioner and one is just the furnace.
this looks like, this is 8,300, that must be below. This
Yeah.
is 47, must be just the front.
Yeah.
And this is,
Southern Maryland Oil you get a price for the AC, a price for the furnace, and also then a price if we get them both and bundle them, you save some money.
well, yeah,
So,
maybe we should save some labor,
well, there you go, let's go on there now.
but, okay. Yeah, these were talking about Linux,
Lennox,
and
thank
this
you.
is talking about American Standard.
Which might be just as good, I don't know.
Well, it turns out American Standard is just another brand of train, which is another one of the big, train, carrier, Lennox, are probably the three big brands.
Right.
Like a lot of other stuff, half of all the other brands that are out there are made by those same three people.
Right, yeah,
And we've had American Standard 16, 17 years.
oh, yeah, okay,
We're fine.
okay. All right, well, I don't have more to the part though, this morning, and that's all I have.
Okay. We already got roads. Finance, Jack.
Well, we're 1 month into our fiscal year, and when we look at the 3 reports we have, no surprises, and just exactly where we expect to be so early in the fiscal year. Just one thing to note, I have to ask Rita again. Rita and I have gone over these in recent weeks. One is the STD admin operating balance. If you look at the balance sheet, one.
Mhm.
it shows a $42,000 balance, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
It's better than being the other way. But we're not supposed to have any balance.
Well, we're supposed to have enough to operate on, so that if I have a small contractor that needs to be paid, I can say, yes, here's $5,000, because I have it in the
Nice,
bank.
okay.
But that might be higher than what we should have.
Yeah, I went back and looked at some old ones, it's pretty high
Yeah.
compared to what we got in the past.
Right.
Anyway, that's a good lead into the main issue for us, which is the special tax district. Pass these out. Anybody have one?
I think that's it. And one more, I guess, then.
Are these different or?
No, it's the same.
No, we all have one, I think.
We all
Oh,
have,
we have one, I didn't.
So it is a good time, we have to really start
Yes.
preparing for this and get it submitted to the county. Last year, the last time around, I did see, at the time before that, I was reading our submission, which is such a spiffy submission. I mean, this is State Department quality,
It's John Gray's work, he was that way. Yeah.
but it's like an enormous amount of work. I mean, I can't even imagine.
I don't think we're expected to do that again.
Oh, good.
That was John Gray.
Do you have-
Detail-oriented
Well,
person.
do you have that in,
Digital?
soft copy?
Yes, yeah, I got him.
Okay, so we could do a lot of cut and paste,
Oh, yeah.
We could. Some of it really
but,
does require revision over time.
yeah,
Some of it, like our articles of incorporation, things like that, never change, so it's easy, but
right,
still, it's gonna be a chore to put together.
right.
So, we will do that and get it done. But there'll be some decision points, I think, especially early on, about, I've always said, and you probably heard me before say, let's spend all of our special tax district money on the roads, keep that balance down to zero. And the 40,000 balance that we have is even higher than what the county's still holding, which is,
That's what the county said.
260,000. Of course, we'll have 160, 70
Yeah,
gone when we finish the current paving project.
right.
But still, that's a lot of money that the county's holding. So the closer we can keep that, the lower that balance, I think it's better for us. Use all the county money for the allowable expenses and keep all our money, where we have discretion, separate. And if we do want to do something, like a beach or whatever, we'll have an identifiable pot of money that we could use for that. On that point, going back into the history of these, earlier special tax districts included amenities.
They did, that one
And
did.
the county,
Mhm.
okayed that. I would suggest, as we put this together, that would be one of the things we would decide on. We should ask, I think, to do amenities, boat ramp, beach, or whatever. Certainly within the scope of past special tax districts, not the last one, but before that.
Well, Norris acknowledged this time in the preliminary communication that it is, it is authorized. It has to be presented and approved, and all that, but it's not, it's in the scope.
Okay, well then, we just have to be sure it gets written into the special tax district, which we'll be sure to do that. The other issue for me is, how much will its tax be? And it's currently $115, paper you have before you is a fee of $140.
Yeah. Because that's the admin, I didn't reprint that one, it's 155.
Well, the point remains,
Go to the second page.
Yeah, I see it.
It's on that,
It's-
it's,
yeah.
it's 4 to
Second
500
page is
dollars.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ideally for me, I would just, and I think the community would support an increase. If we could do it at the same level as the last special tax history, I think that'd be even better, not raising it, but, I mean, I guess that's something for us to talk about and decide on, and then figure out whether the committee would support an increase.
Mhm.
I think they might. There's a lot of, the general meetings, there's a lot of positive vibes.
Mhm.
I think they believe we're pretty efficient and careful with the money.
Good.
And I've never heard any complaints in recent years.
And this is a projection for 5 years, right?
That's what I,
Yeah.
You know, when we ask for, if we keep the same or if we increase it for the next 5 years.
But if I would, I think some of our STDs have been 4 years, and looking back at
three.
history.
In my time here, they've been 3, maybe different,
Oh,
before me.
We should, I think, go for a 5-year special tax and just minimize the amount of effort.
Yeah, and I would, if we're gonna go for 5, then I would definitely support, an increase, because death taxes and inflation.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
What kind of an increase are you talking about?
It's 155 from 115, if you look at the
Oh,
top of
okay,
that
okay.
second
All
spreadsheet.
right, okay.
So was that a $40 increase?
Okay, so it's 115 now?
115.
Okay. And the 155 comes from, what's the $40?
You can,
Is that just part, spread out on,
mostly the O&M budget, the second page. Jack had me move all of the street lighting to the STD. I made some notes in there. Those
Okay.
notes try to explain what I did. Some areas I increased, sure, just a little bit in order to, move money around in the STD. Mosquito control is there now. I deleted road repairs because I don't post anything to road repairs. I think it was all of $500. And we don't do little minor road repairs like we to speak of. So again, trying to get money, it's difficult. You see those percentages down there at the bottom of each of the pages?
23 points.
If you look on the third page, you'll see they all add up to 100%. Well, that's why for paving, it's $122,796. You have to fudge them and fuss with them in order to get that to be around 100%. So that's why moving money here and there and this and that category, that's why I did that.
do we know, some of this is based on assuming you can move things in or out of sure. Do we know what sure is for
Well,
the next
no.
3 to 5 years?
No.
That's one thing we never know.
We-
They've been pretty generous with us.
It's been pretty consistent. I mean, if you look at
But how is it determined?
it's based on the gas tax. And we get a percentage of the gas tax.
Oh, okay, so we don't ask for anything,
They send it to us. They just,
somehow they allocate a certain amount of it.
it's based on our mileage of roads, 15 miles.
Oh,
Years
okay.
ago, and I've got the file if anybody wants to look at it, we submitted the exact, mileage of each street.
Mhm.
Of course, we don't get to count Parade or portion Chestnut and Dogwood,
Right,
but that's what it's based on.
okay.
And they actually used to try to go for the registrations, because that would have been a real good money. And it's actually written into our agreement with the county that we will not pursue that. So, there you are.
Car registrations?
I guess car registrations, yeah. Mhm.
Well, of course, the whole country is going to have to wrestle with this issue of, as more and more cars get electrified.
That's right.
True.
How is that going to translate into the road?
Yeah, that's true.
Interesting, yeah.
I suppose they'll be
Anyway.
taxed, I don't know. Anyway,
Well,
but,
they're trying to figure that out.
yeah. But that's why the numbers were sort of unusual amounts here and there.
Okay, so I guess you have we have a history of Sure. Has it generally sort of gone up, or is it just level, or?
It's up a little bit
I
recently.
think it is,
10,000
and
plus.
like right now, there is, sure, 38,005 in there.
Mhm.
And, we just got the 10 or 11,000 from November through April is where that posted. So really, if you look at the income sheet, it doesn't look like we've gotten anything from Sure yet. Or, you know, there's only 10,000 in here, and that's not, you know, that's not cumulative. This is cumulative on the balance sheet.
Because this is only showing, like 13.5.
I know, and I didn't want to budget, if you look at the budgets over the past couple of years, we've only budgeted $7,000 because it had gone down. And we've always just budgeted it for snow removal because that was easy, and nobody really votes on it. It just all has to be spent on the roads. But I didn't want to budget overdo the budget on Sure. So,
Okay, so you work this budget out for starting 23, and you divide by the number of payers, and you come up with 155. Okay.
Plus expected, some delinquencies.
well, 85%.
Well, yeah, I mean,
85%.
Yeah, you have to budget it,
It's on the last page too,
yeah.
yeah. 85% rate on 1466 billable lots.
Okay. And this does not include anything about the beach.
No,
So if we were to add anything on the beach, and this would, we'd either have to take away from something else, or it's going to increase the
it's,
STD fee.
It's not a line item, but I think that we could, if we have discretion, I think we would have money for the beach, at least a good portion of it. Assuming say half of 250, see if the whole thing's $250,000. If we could split that in half, do it in 2 fiscal years, I think we could probably make that work with this.
Okay.
Given our assets that we already have, and then an expected cash flow with this income.
Mhm.
and I just to say, would it make sense to, when you have a meeting with commissioners and Norris, the county attorney, to say, this is our proposal, and we're moving these things to O&M because we have this beach erosion issue that we also need to fund. Now, we can either try to fund it through the STD, or you can let us have what we're proposing here, and we can afford to pay for it out of other funds. Isn't that what you would say?
That's what I'm advocating, that we
Yeah,
keep as much of our own money as we can.
right. But I just mean, if you presented it to them like that, then they might look at this 155 and say, oh, well, that's not too bad, because they're not gonna ask us for money for the beach. Or have a whole separate schedule with money for the beach.
Well, see, one approach would be to create a line item for the
Right.
STD for the beach. Okay, and
Yes.
we could, I don't know, you could spread it over the 5 years or whatever, but, so, let's say you spread it over the 5 years. I'm thinking, they were estimating around 250 for both structures. If we do only one of them, I would say it's probably somewhere between 150 and 200, so let's just say 150, so that's 30,000 a year.
Mhm.
So you plug that 30,000 in there,
Right,
so how many, what's the rough number of people that are paying?
1466. Well, 85% of 1466 is what we get.
Okay,
1466 billable lots.
okay, so even at 1,000, that's, what, $30?
More.
$30 more a head.
So you then,
So it would raise that to 185.
185. Yeah, I just meant go in there prepared to say, so yeah, maybe present that, and then when they balk at it, say, okay then, what about 155? I just know the commissioners are gonna balk at some of these. Or they have in the past.
Well, they may, and they may, based on the last time, there was some pessimism among the commissioners of whether they ought to be doing this at all anyway.
Right.
You know, well, okay, what's the alternative? But, so I don't know what we're walking into. But it's gonna be a growing process as we get with Norris, and he seemed to have at least an understanding, we're talking about a non-road kind of a thing in here.
Right.
So it seems like we might wanna go in there, put a line item in there for 30,000 a year, or, whatever. I wish I could get some more information from these state people, but, so far nothing. Anyway, go in there, normally you walk in with what you want,
Right.
and then you sit and talk to them, and you find out where they're at, and what they want or don't want, and then you try to reach a compromise solution.
So do you want to have a meeting, well, what should happen next is that the board would make a motion to present a resolution, for Mike to present a resolution to the commissioners through Norris for an STD of X amount. So if 155 isn't it, we need to go back a little bit onto the spreadsheet again and input another amount for the beach. We can't wait too long, you have to be able to, the next board meeting is September, whatever, 2nd, 3rd, whatever. We have to have time to talk to the community at the membership meeting, just show that you are informing the community.
One thing we should remember too is I think earlier special tax districts it was much higher. It was
192 is the highest in my time here. No, it might have been higher, and that's STD 3 right there. That was at 192, but it's been as low as 50.
How recently?
Maybe 8 years ago, I think just before this one. And the reason that happened is we had a reserve at the recommendation of a lot of important, knowledgeable people, to do a reserve for the roads. You've heard this story before. And the commissioner said, people complain, we have $247,500 in there. People complain, I'm not paying for roads that I'll never see in 20 years, blah, 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 blah. So they reduced the STD to $50 per person per lot and made us spend down that reserve fund. And that's when we started going to a mile a year paving, which works well.
But would it make sense to go in there with like 3 possible presentations?
That's what I was.
One with the highest amount with like the 250 for the beach work, the middle for 150 or whatever what the number was, and then the third for this presentation. And that way you discuss what they find more acceptable.
Well,
again, looking at our balance sheet, even if we go at just the level we're at, we'll be able to do some of the work, I would say.
You have 222,000 in your operations, and you've got those top 3 numbers on the balance sheet. That's the money that you have over and above STD.
And what if we can tell them we haven't paid the bills yet for this year's bidding,
Well,
but they
yeah.
might say, look at all this money that you have from the current STD.
Well, the point is, though, we haven't paid the bill for. But then more will be coming in. At the end of September, tax bills are being paid, and we'll be getting an influx of money.
So including what we have on hand that's advanced to us, and the other is sitting in the county. And then there's, that's 300,000 right there.
Yeah.
So we have to come up with a justification for that.
Well, you and I had talked about that the other day, and I think like these stormwater management jobs that are gonna be bid out there pretty soon, I'll pay for those from the STD, and then I won't bill the county for them. I'll just use the money we have on hand. I mean, that makes sense to do it, you know. It's a hard thing, because you've got money coming in, you've got money going out, so I don't know. I was hoping to see the resolution.
Well, I think we have to have a pretty good handle on what our reserves are. And then, you know, and, because if you go in there and ask for a whole lot of money from them and they look at your balance sheet and you got a big stack of reserves, they're gonna say, well, why are you doing this?
Exactly right.
Right,
And,
right.
you know, we need to keep some money in reserve, but,
Certainly.
for contingencies, but,
But my thought was if you go in and ask for the 155, then as Jack said, use our own money. You know, they're more, if we are saying to them, we are willing to use our own money, so to speak, they maybe will be more willing to approve these kinds of expenditures, mosquito control. You know, that's sort of iffy on roads, you know. But they'd be more likely to. And I tried to keep some in, like for snow removal, I kept 10,000 under the covenants to show that we're making a good faith effort, you know, and using our own money as well.
When do you go to them?
Well, that's the thing, we need to have a resolution to present to Norris to say this is the amount we want, and then the process will go.
okay, first off, the board has to do something, right?
Yeah,
The board, okay, so what do we need the board to do?
we need to make a motion to approve Mike Snap going to the county with the
To
resolution.
petition,
To
for,
petition the, yeah,
to petition the county,
for the
okay,
next special tax district.
all right, so,
And we need an amount though, that's the, you know,
oh, that has
in
to
the
be
amount
part-
of,
oh,
yeah,
okay. And when do we have to do this?
I would say as soon as possible, because you also need to maybe have something to go. You need to say to the commissioners, yes, at the board meeting in September, we presented this to the people there and they were happy and they love us for it and so on. We need to show that we are educating the community on the
So in other
proposal.
words, Mike doesn't go talk to the commissioners until after the general membership meeting.
I would say so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess,
Do we have the John Norris letter by chance handy?
The
I thought
letter,
I had
the letter that we sent to John Norris?
it. He just sent us one today.
Oh, I have an email from him,
Oh, that's what it is.
yeah.
so the calendar we're up against is that, in the long term, is, our next one starts in FY '23. So July 22, this has to be all done and approved by the county and everything else.
11
Okay,
months.
so,
And there has to be a public hearing.
yeah,
Which the commissioner, you know, the county puts that on, we pay for it, postage and so on. They actually organize that, have to say. Is this what you?
So this is sort of the first steps of what to do from the county.
right.
I don't think this has the resolution letter in it. There it is.
Somewhere I saw it one time.
Here's an example of the resolution. It's not exactly the same every time, but that's an example. Does that have the amount on that one? Maybe it doesn't.
You know, it doesn't.
Oh, okay. I think the last one that Gary did had the amount, and that's the one I looked at recently, so maybe it does not have to have the amount. May not. I can ask John Norris about that.
Yeah, well, yeah, ask them, because I think we could get the board to say now
Yes.
that we approve petitioning the county for the special tax district. And then, over the next, basically month and a half, we need to develop the budget
Okay.
and present it to the membership in September.
Yes.
And then sit down with the county, start sitting down with the county and working the numbers.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think,
Okay.
I had just read the one that, like I said, the last one, and it did have the amount,
Yeah,
so I
I
was just
mean, I don't
assuming.
feel like we know enough yet to actually
Yeah,
put an amount on this thing
okay,
until we
I agree.
answer some questions about things like the reserves and try to get a better estimate on the beach thing. And so we've got a better handle on all the numbers.
Will we get more information about the beach and the two different options for us to look at to better understand?
Oh, well, I thought I'd sent around everything, but maybe I didn't. Well,
I mean, I know you're saying that there's the two structures versus the one structure, but just in terms of, I mean, my thing is, like, if we're gonna do it, we want it to be effective, we want it to work, so
Right.
is the one structure really worth doing? I mean, what information do we have on that?
well, okay, I'll send the stuff around again, but basically, you know, you came in originally and said, well, the ultimate solution to this problem would be put in a spur on our Henninger property line,
Right,
put in a breakwater at the
right. I got that part,
beach.
yeah.
property line, or at the club property line. And oh, by the way, it'd be better for the club to put in about 3 or 4 more of these spurs. Well, I said, that ain't gonna go anywhere.
Right.
And then we're faced with the issue, even with the breakwater, of how do we deal with the club? It's hard to get them to do anything, hard to get them to move. Okay, so if we go with the breakwater, we're gonna have some impact on the club. And so what's that impact? And how do you quantify it? How do you get them to deal with it? And so the thought was the spur, based on the modeling that they've done, and so far Kurt Larson who's been sort of against these kind of structures,
Right.
has looked at what their latest thing was, and he said, well, yeah, they are applying what looks like proper scientific reasoning on this. And so it looks like it should build basically an accretion area behind the spur that would, once you put in some sand to get it started, and it will basically, the pattern will hold. And the example they gave was down at Gloucester Point, which is almost identical structure, an identical beach exposure.
And we have the same motion of
And it's
the
worked.
waves and the sand.
And then it would be supplemented with some plantings and things to try to help hold the sand.
Well, that was the point I wasn't clear at, like how the second plan was gonna work, so, but okay.
But so right now, I mean, my thought was, let's go with one structure. And, you know, it's less money, it's got a higher likelihood of working, there's less impact on the club. And then let's see what that does, and then all of us will be gone, thankfully, and somebody else can worry about the next phase. But, you know, so there may be another phase, maybe eventually the club will get money or something and be more interested in something that they could do to that section of the beach.
quite
I
sure.
wanna pin him down more, but.
Yeah, I just
but
wasn't quite
wanna-
sure how that second plan was gonna work.
Yeah.
Because if, I feel like if we're gonna do something, we wanna make sure it'll work for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
'Cause-
Personally, I think, well, A and B would work better than just A, but the club's like,
Yeah, no,
Like,
and I
right.
understand that, we have to, work with what we have, but
Yeah.
I just was curious what plan B. Okay.
So then we just need somebody to make a motion that, Mike can go to the
So
petition
we
commissioners.
begin the petition process.
I will motion that Mike can go to the petition
I second.
commissioners.
Okay, all in
Is it
favor? We have a
petition?
motion, any discussion?
Mike can go to petition or perdition, what was that you said?
Don't put words in my mouth.
Okay. so
do you have to have a number?
I think not, because in this
Oh,
one
okay.
from STD3, it does not include a number.
Okay.
The last one that Gary would have signed did say, we authorize blah, 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 Gary Hill to petition for X number of dollars. So
Okay,
I'm
well,
thinking it's not required.
okay, if we do it and they come back and say we need numbers, well, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's not, don't volunteer any more information than that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
So-
tend to forget that, but yeah, good point.
Okay, so we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. We will petition. The petition has been granted or approved. So we decided we just need to find two numbers and come up with
I'll
something.
work on
Like one, it's a 5-year budget, but there's no inflation in here. Is that because we don't believe it, or because we don't want to mess with it, or
Because I didn't think of it.
did we think of it?
Should I do a 5% or something increase?
Well, I think we ought to do a 2 to 3%
Okay,
increase across the board, and I'll understand that.
increase for, inflation.
Yeah,
2,
basically.
3%
Cost of living.
for inflation.
Anything more we want to talk about now, or?
Now, getting the numbers is
Yeah.
gonna be the challenge here.
Well, let's look at let's get a handle on, see if we can get a good handle on how much reserves we've got, how much we can afford to use out of that to fund the beach process, and then how much we won't want to put into here, or versus just not putting anything in here, like
Right.
you were saying, and
Okay.
And can try to, we can try to do some, put together something by the next board meeting, a good start, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, and that would also be used with the general membership meeting in
Right,
September.
yeah.
Right,
That's the plan.
and I'll schedule a membership meeting as late as I can in the month. I'm going out of town, I know we're not to that party yet. I may not be here for the first meeting in September.
Well, we can.
We'll look at that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, the first Tuesday in September, by definition, is the day after Labor Day. So I think we,
And I'm flying to Phoenix the day after Labor Day.
I think sometimes we have tended to maybe have that the next week, but
I'm gone for 2 weeks.
you can't do that.
Really bad time.
Disapproved. All leave disapproved. Until
I could
morale,
phone
until
in.
morale improves.
That's right. The beatings, however, will continue.
Yes.
So you're gonna be gone for 3 weeks in?
2 weeks.
2 weeks in September. What if we have another meeting at the end of August?
Could do that.
Or a board meeting at the end of August, and then,
You could do that without me. Um, Would you be able to call in?
I could call in not the first Tuesday because I'll be
Right.
flying. The second Tuesday I could
Well,
call, I think.
That might work.
All right. Sorry, guys, I didn't even think of that. I was just trying to get the right flight and
No, I
the right price.
Get your priorities right.
All
You did.
right.
Okay. Okay. Anything else, Jack?
That's it.
Okay. Bonnie, do you have anything on environment, or you or Jenny?
Yes, very briefly, we are still on schedule to have our Phragmites sprayed in October, and this is the last year of our permit, but Mark informed me in writing that the state no longer requires a permit, which seems very strange, but I'm sure he knows, right. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that Tony texted me a link to a very alarming article on something called toxic invasive poison hemlock spreading into U.S. parks
I read
and
that
backyard
today
gardens.
too.
I sent it to the
I
environment.
sent the link to Jenny and also to Rita
Oh,
and to Mark Smith to find out what they know about this. This is something from the Indiana Natural Resource Conservation
I read it
Service,
today,
and
actually.
apparently this plant that looks very much like Queen Anne lace, which you see all over the place, and is a very pretty plant, is very toxic. It's apparently in almost every state in the union. I'm not sure if it's in Maryland, but I would suspect it might be. But every part of this plant is toxic. The leaves, the flowers, the stems, the roots.
The seeds.
And they say if you're going to
the
dig it
seeds,
up,
toxic.
Sap.
you should wear long sleeve shirts, long pants, and rubber gloves. So I'm hoping Mark can come back and clarify what's going on. And I asked Jenny if she could call some of her master gardener contacts to see what they know about it.
I will do that, and I'll see if they know if it's in Calvert County yet.
Well, I wanted to say something, and I don't know if it is truly it or not, but maybe you can step over there with me sometime. But when I was walking down Bayview, I was noticing a plant that looked just like the pictures.
Yeah.
And it looks like Queen Anne's lace, but they said the leaves look kind of like parsley. They have the little,
Oh,
Mhm.
and
The
they,
stems are purple.
yeah, the stems are purpley and mottled, and they said the most poisonous part are the seeds, and I was worried because the dogs, they eat stuff. But along Bayview there is some, but I don't know for sure that's that, but I do have an app on my phone that I can take a picture and it'll tell me exactly what the plan is. So I was planning to do that tomorrow, and I had no idea that Bonnie, that you were looking at the same thing, but I was gonna raise it up as well.
Well, what you're looking at is all up and down Roundsby Hall Road as well, and I went out and took pictures today.
Okay,
So, it looks like it's Queen Anne's lace.
okay.
yeah, the article said that this time of year, the poison hemlock spreads and grows its footprint. Each plant produces a lot of seeds, up to 30,000, that ripen between late June and August after it flowers, and the seeds are easily scattered during late summer mowing. So this is really this may be a problem we have to contend with. I just don't know yet.
Mhm.
Where I saw a plant that looked like that was along, because I saw Roger Youngerman, and he finally got his part for his tractor, and he's the one that was putting the fence up, and he had
Oh, yeah,
all
yeah,
the tree debris.
Yeah, I saw him out there
And so
finally,
he's been out there the last couple of days, working on the fence, and so just like a little bit past that is where I saw this plant for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope it's not it, but it probably is.
yeah, well, I'm gonna take a picture of it tomorrow on my walk and see what comes up.
well, this looks like it has multiple flower clusters, where
Yeah.
Queen Anne's lace usually has one
Yeah.
big one.
Uh-huh,
So that may be one way to tell.
yeah, well, this one had multiple.
We need goats are the answer.
Votes.
Yeah, well, my feeling is that if it looks like Queen Anne's lace, I might have seen it all over the place, but not even paying any attention, so, I guess we should try to figure out what this thing is.
Yeah.
Jenny, could you do something for the newsletter, maybe not just on this, but like maybe just one column of, maybe your Ivy League ladies, people?
Yeah, I wanted to start that, and probably not until, I'm thinking we're only gonna get 4 months out of it, starting in November and go through
Well,
February.
maybe we put something on the website, but it says hemlock poisoning can be fatal with no antidote. All plant parts contain toxic alkaloids that can interfere with nerve transmission to your muscles, ultimately causing respiratory failure. So it's not really pleasant. Other signs of poisoning can include trembling, salivation, pupil dilation, muscle paralysis, so to speak.
I think before we put something about hemlock in the newsletter, we should find out if it's in Cameron
Yeah,
County.
I agree, actually have the.
That can freak a lot of people out.
Well, yeah, with torches and forks.
Well, if this, I mean, if this stuff is, if this stuff is as bad as Bob is saying, I mean,
It's gonna get there.
it's incumbent on the state and county to be,
Yeah.
According to the article, some states have declared that it's beyond eradication.
really,
Well, also, it doesn't come up every year, it says something about like for
Well,
2 years.
like a
like-
biennial.
No, the first
kind of thing.
year, it's small, and the second year it gets tall.
Right, so you might not notice it the first year, and then the second year.
Yeah, and it says that it can be mixed with harmless plants in pastures and crops where livestock may eat it, or in a garden where a dog may munch on it.
Mhm,
So it's not just for limited to humans.
mhm.
I'll go ahead and forward the link to everybody, because they
Yeah.
also had pictures. I printed it, and the
Mhm.
pictures don't print.
Yeah.
So I'll forward the link.
Well, and now, we could probably just put the link, if there's an
Yeah.
official link
Yeah, the language.
to something, put the link in the newsletter. Let
Right.
people, buyer beware.
Yes,
Huh.
yes. I mean, but it's just something we need to look into seriously. And hoping Mark, I just sent an email to Mark tonight, and so I'm hoping he'll respond.
Okay,
That's all I got.
that's all we need.
I had one thing, I don't know if anybody's heard, but Roundup is being taken off the market for residential use.
Oh, hell, I better go out there and buy a couple gallons.
So what you guys are probably be doing, but 2023, it's not gonna be available for residential use anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
What's not gonna be used for
Roundup.
residential use?
Roundup.
Roundup.
Oh, Roundup, oh,
Isn't that the same
So-
drug, the same chemical they're using to kill the
No,
Phragmites too?
I thought
it's a
Like-
variation thereof.
Glyphosate or glyphosate?
Yeah, it's a variation of
Agent Orange.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
So, anyway, just thought I'd throw that in there.
No, it's good, thank you. Anything else on the environment?
No.
Any other good news?
Well, there's other bad news, but
There's every
there's
day.
a mysterious bird illness.
Oh, yeah, it's been going on for a
it.
while.
Oh, yeah, from the heat, yeah.
Well, no, they said you should clean your bird feeders with a 10% solution of bleach if you have them, because that's where the birds can gather and spread the
Oh, really?
diseases.
It's been going on for a couple months.
Yeah, and it's like Maryland, Delaware, DC, Kentucky, this whole area, there've been a lot of calls of dead birds, and they have neurological issues, and their eyes pressed, and they said, again, don't let your pets eat, you know.
When it first started, I was talking to my neighbor at the end of her driveway. I looked down and there's a dead robin right there. And I've never seen a dead bird like that before. It looked otherwise healthy,
Mhm.
so it was bizarre.
Yeah, and they don't quite understand what's going on, but they said that
Mhm.
you should, if you have a bird feeder, to clean it with a 10% solution of bleach.
Feeder or bat?
Feeder and bath.
Really?
Yeah,
My daughter said that she read it, just take your feeders down.
well, that's what they said, that's what they recommend, but they said if you do put them up, clean them with this 10%.
Okay.
So, and I had sent Bonnie something about that last
Wow.
month, but, yeah.
For a while, it was thought that cicadas had something to do with it,
Well, there's, yeah, there's
but
two
I
things
think,
going on.
I think that's just not proven.
Well, if I could get starlings to just come to the thing, that would get rid of a couple problems.
The
Maybe
sparrows.
that's starlings to eat the hemlock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, any other good news? Dead birds, pandemic.
Yeah, all this good
Isn't
stuff.
it live?
Oh,
Don't breathe.
I know.
Too much joy.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll bypass safety unless you had anything from Aggie or, okay. Peter didn't have anything to say, he just said the community people are still involved with the radios and all that stuff, so. Okay, welcoming committee?
I just distributed 3 in the past month, and Asha and Jen came in this morning, today, and assembled 4, so that leaves me 5. Sales are brisk.
Nice.
Here they
Oh,
are.
there they are. So, we didn't know, Jenna didn't know if everybody had seen one,
Yeah.
Oh,
so there it is.
Great.
There's
Yeah.
wine and
Yeah,
cookies
wine.
and snacks.
There's a
Oh,
picture.
I was just about to say, is there anything in there worth
Lighthouse in
stealing? Wine and cookies, you gotta
Yeah,
put
there
that
we
away.
go. And all the information, all the brochures, although we're getting fewer brochures, but
I know,
because
yeah.
they don't have
They
them
don't
as
have
much in the
Yeah.
visitor center, yeah, yeah.
I'm waiting for the first person to come in and sense that we give them alcohol.
I've had one person, I've only had one person ask me to do it because she's a recovering alcoholic.
Oh,
Okay.
And of course I,
that makes sense.
she was very, very cordial about it, would you mind taking that out? I mean,
Well, that's good.
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Okay, I don't have any updates on the planning or the beach. That's in the planning, that's the planning committee. We're still after, so bug them about trying to get the state guy to talk to us about the loan app that we submitted. I'm kind of just waiting. Okay,
Did you try talking to Mike about talking to somebody at the state about at least answering the mail?
oh, no, I haven't.
You know, I mean, you know, it's, you know, he is our commissioner. Give him something to do. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Talk to commission. All right, we're gonna talk about property.
Yes, I called, I think of her name, the owner of the lot across the street,
Velma?
Velma Hawkins, Miss Hawkins. She's a very nice woman, and, I think she's off the idea of the 15 to 20,000. She seems open to suggestion, and she said the only thing is that she would like to recover some of what she's put out here. So I went online and I found her taxes from 2015 to 2021 amounted to $606. She's paid, oh no, I take that back. About $1,100. She's paid Drum Point to $606 in fees for the past 5 years, you know, for the same period of time. So her total output was $7,482, including the cost of the lot itself when she purchased it in 1985. She paid $5,700 for it. So $7,482 is her, for the past, what, 5-6 years. So Mike thought perhaps we should offer her $7,000. And I know that's more than what we budgeted, but,
It still sounds reasonable.
you know.
Yes,
I think
That
so,
sounds
too.
really
Yeah, I
I
reasonable.
think
Not that much more.
I think it sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
She's gonna come back and ask for 7.5.
Well, that would cover exactly about
Right,
the
so
number
I
I
was gonna say, but we still need to get membership approval.
Yeah.
Yes,
right? So,
yes.
we would have to, well, what my recommendation would be that we ask them to approve $7,500. So it would be nice if we could get a little better idea from her on if that's if 7,000 is a reasonable type number.
So shall I
And
broach her, broach that
Yeah, I
with
think
her?
it's better to get a price from her, because
Yeah.
if you ask the membership for 7.5, she's gonna
Well,
find
no,
out that we're approved for 7.5.
No, I know. And so I was gonna say, well, let's get see if we can get an idea of whether
Yeah,
whether 7,000 is in the ballpark.
Okay,
yeah.
And then we could, up that a little bit and go to the membership budget.
Yeah, and that's the way you can approach it. You go, look, before we can go ask the membership for money, we need to know how much we're gonna
yeah,
ask
she
for.
understands that it has to be approved.
So, yeah,
And
so,
she also understands that it behooves her to not go through a realtor.
yeah,
For obvious
Might take
reasons.
some of the-
Yeah,
And,
she saves money.
so let's approach it that way and, also get an idea, tell her that our membership meeting wouldn't be until late September.
right.
Is that, is that a schedule she can live with? If it has to be more, or something more urgent than that, if she had, some real pressing need or something, we would have to call a special meeting, and I don't wanna do
I
that.
don't wanna do that,
It'd be part of,
yeah,
because we still gotta get a quorum to
right.
approve it, so.
Oh, shoot.
Well, no, we
You
can,
know that
we
form
can,
is
we can put out a push for
Put out a
absentee
ballot.
ballots.
Oh, yeah, we'll
We'll
do
do
that.
that.
Yeah,
You're
we-
right,
yeah,
you're
we'll
right.
do that, but it's still,
Okay.
if we, it's hard enough to do that for a regular scheduled meeting, let alone call a special meeting and then
Oh,
try to,
yeah, oh, yeah.
fight the, so
Yeah,
We
you're right.
we would put out the absentee ballot for
Yes.
this meeting for
Yeah, for
the 7,000, but wouldn't that also include the special tax district?
Well, we're not gonna vote on that. That's just gonna be presented to the membership and discussed.
Yeah.
I think,
I think so too.
yeah.
I mean, you'll have 35 different, I mean, it's hard enough to come up with that spreadsheet and make those numbers come out to zero, you know, or balance out to 100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's just a presentation about the tax, a special tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then it has to go before a public hearing and
Right,
all that stuff, and so there's other approval
yeah,
processes downstream.
You just have to be able to show the commissioners that you're working
Right.
with the community and
Right.
taking their input and.
yeah, but then it would help if we had a quorum
Yes.
there
Yes.
to say that we have presented it and we have a
Yeah,
quorum.
yeah, because it needs to be an official meeting.
Right.
Well, I guess it doesn't need to be, you could say you went to whoever showed up, but
Mhm.
the more people you could, you know, if you can say you had an official meeting, I think it'll probably have a little
Yeah,
more
better,
strength.
better.
So, okay, I'll call her tomorrow and ask her if 7,000 is in the ballpark and explain that we need a number to take to the membership in September.
Correct.
Is it acceptable?
Oh,
It's not in the ballpark, because that makes it sound like you're ready to slide up and down. Make it sound like it's a real offer, is 7,000 acceptable? All she can say is no.
okay. That makes sense.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, geez.
I don't think he's available.
Tonight, but he doesn't have to be, does he?
No, geez, I don't think he's ever available.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so the next order of business was, we need to fill a vacancy in the board, right?
Oh, yes. Well,
Okay, and we've had one community volunteer, Mike Chaconis, who said he'd be willing to be on the board. Unfortunately, he can't be here tonight because he's maybe in quarantine, but,
Oh, God.
so,
His wife definitely is, so.
yeah, so anyway, so the process is, the board can appoint, can fill a vacancy. So unless somebody else has another person, that they feel like wants it more, or more qualified, or anything.
Person I talked to has not come back to me, and he didn't seem excited to begin with, so.
Okay.
Was that,
Bruce.
Bruce Benopoulos?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, so, yeah.
We had a nice long conversation, and I could have been holding an ice cube, you know.
Okay. Well, so, and Mike has been on the finance committee, and so he knows us, so he knows the good and the bad a little bit anyway.
Our meetings will be more lively if he,
To say the least.
As long as I
I'm
don't get
nominating,
older.
I'm nominating to fill the vacancy and be president.
There we go.
All
No.
right.
That's like, who gets to head the committee, who's not at the meeting?
Yeah. So, is there a motion to approve Mike Chaconis as a board member?
I approached him, so I'll move
Okay,
that we ask him to fill the vacancy.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have a new board member. And the last thing is reaffirm, approve the committees.
I'll remember. I got it.
This is, I should have made copies, this is who they
Oh.
are now. And just a couple of changes that I can see,
Okay, roads,
if everybody's still.
yeah, Sal is, all right, well, I'll run down this real quick. Environmental, we got Bonnie as chair, Tony and Jenny.
I think because you went around, you and Jack and Gary, and scoped out the Fred Mighty. That's how you ended up on the committee.
Oh, okay.
For what is that for the environmental?
Environmental, it's, we,
Yeah, I would like to join the environmental.
Done.
great.
You wanted to be off of it, Tony, is that what you're
Take
saying?
me off. I mean, I sort of do it unofficially, informally anyway, so.
Okay. Now, are you guys, sort of thought of you guys as co-chairs, but does it make a difference? You wanna be co-chairs, you wanna be a chair and nothing, or what?
A co-chair is
Remember?
fine, if you wanna do that, that's fine with me.
I don't think the bylaws even.
I'll just be a member, I don't, doesn't matter to me either. What do you think?
I just want to be a member. I'd like to like be a part of, like, you know, if we get together and we're looking at something and we're trying to decide what to do, I'd like to be there.
Well, I mean, if it
Sounds
doesn't,
interesting.
if it does, Jenny, if it doesn't matter to you, then we could just go one and you guys can split it up. So,
Who's offering, I'm not recognizing the voice of who wants to come and join us.
awesome.
Asha.
Oh, Asha, okay, perfect, yeah.
Okay, you wanna just leave it as one chair?
That's fine, that's fine with me.
Yes,
Well,
no?
then, yeah, if you want, if you would like to take over the chair, that's fine with me.
Yeah,
No, we'll leave it as one.
okay,
Huh?
all right. Going,
So
going.
how do
You're
we
still the
how do we
chair.
leave it?
Bonnie, you're still the chair.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, finance, we got Jack, Mike, Bonnie, Elise, we're gonna take Elisa
I
off,
didn't see that one.
and Jenna, and Mike Chaconis. That's probably enough, unless somebody's,
Well,
that's
maybe
almost
like,
everybody. You want,
maybe for next year, you could find somebody, a non-board member, since Mike Chaconis is now a board member. I mean, for next year's budget,
That was the idea for having the.
Yeah. but just not so much for these purposes, but just
I
for
think
next
at our
year's
next
budget.
general membership meeting, we'll just have to make an announcement. We
Oh,
need
yeah.
Yeah.
We need a-
broader representation on all of these.
yeah. Okay,
And if it's getting to be too many people, I could certainly come off it. We could get something more business oriented.
We've never been in danger of having too many people on it.
That's for sure.
True, true.
Okay, I can stay on it too, I'm not trying to weasel my way off.
okay.
Jordy.
Yeah.
Planning, got me and Tony. I think Jenny was, you were on that.
I don't need to be on that.
Oh, that was a heartfelt statement.
Yeah. I think she joined you guys with the beach erosion
Yeah.
issue.
Right.
I
Yes,
kind of just wanted
environmental.
to find out what was going on, and then Gary said, you're on the committee, and I'm like,
Oh.
I don't know about that. But I really don't need to be on it unless you need me to be on it.
Well,
Maybe your input from
I think,
everyone else.
I like your input from just, you know, other things in the environment and stuff like that, so if you don't mind,
Okay.
Tony and I are liable to run amok.
I'm just really nervous about having to make that decision.
What decision?
Oh, you're not gonna make it,
Whether, I know, yeah,
no, we're not gonna be,
We're not making any decisions.
we're making
Yeah.
recommendations and,
Have we made
Right,
a
okay.
decision in I
Yeah.
don't know how many years?
okay, roads, we've got Sal as chair, we've got Chris Franklin, ex officio. Okay, got Jack and me, and I just soon pull myself off, because I got plenty of other stuff to do, but I suppose there's some value, if I have to make some financial decision or something where Jack does, I
Yeah.
guess that's probably what.
That might be why you're there. Plus you ride around a lot, Mike, on your bicycle and various
Okay.
things.
Anybody else want to be on it, roads?
Is that just like determining what needs to be repaired and snow and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, most of it will be Sal. You know, one of us sometimes will get called in if there's a decision on snow or something like that has to be made, but otherwise it's awareness and looking at the budget and what we can do and things like that.
I mean, I will join the road committee,
Good.
but, I might need a few pointers.
Well, they're right out there,
Well,
they tend to be.
Well, I also noticed with things, like I walk a lot, so like around this area, I
Oh, no,
know
you
things,
see-
and I can
And
also
I
go
like
to
to-
other places
Yeah.
if
You
if
see
need
stuff.
be.
Yeah, I like to drive around too, I drive around all the time,
Uh-huh.
so, but,
Okay, safety, I don't know what to do about this.
I don't
I guess, well, I can't see Peter being able to do anything for the foreseeable future as far as being able to get out and interact.
Right.
So, can you check, see if Maggie would fill in?
Well, I thought she
as
had
a
said
chair?
she would.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
okay, should we put her, should we just
I
decide?
think she should be, yeah, I think she
I
should
think
do it. She should be.
Okay, so let's just make her chair. and she-
Yeah, I think that's,
Okay.
I think that's,
For the rest of this, I have no idea. These are all people that, Rhea,
The only one,
you're on here.
I am on there, Peter put me on there, I'm okay. I think because I'm a contact person for, like if
Yeah.
it snows and, you know, that
Do
kind
you
of
have to be ex officio?
I'm, maybe now that I'm not a property owner.
You're not a property owner. So you
Oh,
have to
that's
be
true,
ex- you
yeah.
have to be ex officio,
Maybe,
okay.
alright. The only other one I'm not sure about is, Alejandro Velasquez.
Yeah.
I think he's left the community, I think he's left the community.
Well,
And his wife may have, they may have sold their house, I don't think he's around anymore.
okay, well, here's an action then.
Okay,
That you can pass on to Maggie or call Peter.
okay,
Go down through this list and see if it still makes sense.
okay. Well, they all do except that one, that's the only one I don't know,
Okay.
if he's around or not.
I mean, I know Chris Moody sort of, but I don't know if Gary still wants to do it. I don't know Joe Frost at all.
Okay.
Larry Rich is, I mean,
Okay,
Larry does everything and
yeah.
straight thin.
Well,
and-
can you affirm all of them but that one, and I'll have Maggie, or I'll ask Maggie about the others, if she wants to, make
Okay.
sure the others are still valid. But at least affirm the other committees as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine. The welcoming committee, Cindy, Asha, Jenna, and Rhea.
yeah, I'll get on that one.
you're, she's on.
Okay. Jenny. We gotta kick Rhea off in ex officio status.
so sad.
Okay, we've discussed them. Is there a motion to affirm?
What about the nominating committee? Who's on that one?
Oh,
That
That's
changes
not a
year to year,
permanent
that's
one.
not,
Yeah,
Oh.
that
that's not a
changes from
standing
year to
committee.
year.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right, do we have a motion to approve these as discussed?
Motion to approve the.
Second? Anybody?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're okay. It is affirmed.
And do we get copies of that? Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
fix it,
Um,
yeah.
Okay, is there any other business?
One little nit from me,
Yeah.
are we gonna do that little sign, the sign about use at your own risk for the DPPOA
It's on
beach
order.
access?
Oh, actually, it's
Okay.
in. It's in.
Okay,
Joe has it. I think it's in.
Oh, that reminds me of one thing we didn't discuss. We did go down and look at the well rings. And I brought a fellow from Grover, who's done, does a lot of our construction, a lot of our work around, the roads and stuff. They came down with us and we looked at it. I think it can be patched.
that would be good.
Because I took pictures of the holes in it, I took pictures of the tops. Nothing is really falling apart, immediately. There's some breaches in it, but a lot of that rock and everything is staying in there pretty good.
What
So-
about that dip on the fence side of the well ring? Can that be filled in so that it's solid, or more or less solid?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So the well rings like this, if you're walking,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's an area where I think there were rocks that were
Like
filled in,
6 inches?
but there's still like a gap there, it's kind of, jagged, so I think Bonnie wants to know if we can even it out, like over there,
On the
Yeah,
left side.
on the left side when you walk
Yeah.
around.
Well, I don't know, I guess it could be looked at.
I mean, just look, if you could just look at it, I think that would be worthwhile.
I know what you're talking about, but I
Yeah.
mean, okay.
Do you want me to ask Mike for a price on repair then?
Yeah,
Or
but
was he going
he was
to-
going, when we were down there, it was almost high tide, so he
Oh,
could
that's-
only see about half of the exposed area on the
Mhm.
ring. So he was gonna go back down when the tides were low enough for him to look at it and get a good view of what's going on. By the way, Sal was with me when we did this. And so, he's gonna come back, he thinks, he understands, using, a marine mix on the concrete, or he says he does. Talked about using some rebar to reinforce where the holes have breached. And then doing a patch on the holes and then patching the tops, smoothing them out.
Mhm.
Better than what we did at
Right.
one little place. That's as far as we went. We didn't talk about the land, I don't know what else
We
involved.
just look into it, you know, as part of the, you know, the
Right.
effort, just because it would be nice if you could step off to the left and not land in a 6-inch hole.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Now, nothing else? I'll shut up. Okay, so the first Tuesday would be the 2nd. Right? That's
Well, I'm
September.
still here. Oh, the first Tuesday.
That's the day after Labor Day. Okay.
Seven.
Seven,
No, no.
seven.
No,
No,
you're
it's
right.
7,
Oh,
it's
wow.
7,
Mhm.
it's 7,
Yeah, because Labor Day is on the 6th.
Right.
That's right. Sleep.
yeah, it's right.
And what's the second Tuesday?
Okay, so the first Tuesday, the 14th would be the second one.
Right.
I don't know. I can try to
Well,
call
but
her.
is that
I'm
too,
really sorry.
well, is that too late though? That's the,
Well, the other thing is, can we break the tradition, does it have to be Tuesday?
no.
Can we do it like on the 8th, which is Wednesday, or, I don't know.
Well, I'm gone the whole
Well,
first 2
I
weeks.
can't come to that one then.
Do I have to, do I have to be here? I mean, can I?
Well, no, we
just
talked, I think you could, it would be nice if you could call in,
call
What about setting up the camera?
otherwise we run amok.
in? Gary always set it up in my absence, I'm sure you guys can. I'll set it for you. You just have to.
Oh.
button.
But are we saying the 14th is just too late?
Well, I don't know.
It is.
Well,
It is
when's-
later this year.
When's the general membership meeting?
I haven't scheduled it yet. It'll be a Saturday meeting,
Okay,
So what's
So
the
that'll
last
If it's a
Saturday?
Saturday, then it's the 25th.
yeah, that's the last Saturday.
Yeah, and I can't do the 25th, I'm already, that's already bad, so I won't be here the 25th.
Does it have to be in September?
I think so.
Okay, because October 2nd would be the next Saturday.
Let me look.
I can't do that either.
Oh. Well, the main thing that has to happen here is education about the STD budget. Yeah, no, it has to be September. Shall be held in March, June, September, and December.
Okay, good. Never mind.
Yeah.
Well, that makes,
It's the September's a strangely configured month.
Yeah.
well, as far as I'm getting, I mean, the only way I could do it would be on the 18th. Unless Tony can do it.
And I get back on the 18th.
I can do either day, I think, I don't see anything.
25th?
Well,
That's a screw pile race.
oh,
Oh, God.
yeah, there you go.
Oh,
What is that?
It's a
That's
sailing
it.
race.
Sailing race.
Oh,
And they start, my husband, they start out very early. They
Well-
wouldn't be there,
Um,
and they pass my
Okay.
drum point at 10.
Do we have to do it on Saturday?
That's what I was gonna check. No, I don't think we do.
Okay.
I don't think so.
What about
It just
the,
says September.
what about the,
I think we were just alternating
Yeah,
the
when,
week
when,
to
no,
a weekday day and then a
What's
Saturday and then
Wednesdays
a
and
I know
Saturday.
that's the normal way, but.
So we want a lot of people because we're moving on this budget.
Well, I guess it's Saturday, the people that work, the Tuesday night is probably not as convenient as the Saturday morning. I guess that's why it was planned that way, I
Right.
assume.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the normal, is to try to
Yeah,
try to split them, but,
it's not working out this month, that's a killer month.
hmm.
Well, the reason why we shouldn't do the 7th for the board meeting.
Just that I'm not here,
Maria's not gonna be here.
and I'll be flying, so I can't call in.
Oh, you're not gonna be there on the 7th?
No,
Right.
I'm gone from the 7th to the 17th.
Oh, okay, so you wouldn't be there on the 14th either, so.
Could you, if we change the day that week, could you call in, like the 8th or 9th?
I can't do the 9th, but it's okay.
It would probably be easier on the 8th than the following week, because I know we're taking a trip, you know.
Mhm.
And I don't know what days that is. But like the 8th, yeah, and then I'm pretty sure I'm in Phoenix that day.
And then you have to be careful with the time change.
Well, I know. And it's reversed to what I'm used to, and I did make that mistake once and call somebody and wake them up. That's right, it goes the other direction. This wasn't. So yeah, the 8th would work best for me, probably.
Then, would the 8th work?
Yeah, I think it works for me.
I think it works.
Okay.
I'll have to call in, but that's doable.
Okay. All right, let's do the board on the 8th,
7 o'clock.
yeah.
Oh, this is,
I'm sorry,
it's a Wednesday?
that's a Wednesday. Oh.
Oh,
Sorry.
you know,
Sorry.
no, you know, I
I have a headache.
yeah. This
What
is-
about the 9th?
I won't be able to be there and I won't call in either, so.
Well, September's a mess.
Yeah,
But I don't, that's okay.
What about the, like, September 2nd or 3rd or?
The 2nd,
Yeah, yeah.
3rd,
Yeah, that could work.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a Thursday,
The
the
Let's
2nd,
see,
2nd and the
and
3rd.
I'm here. And I wouldn't have to go in.
yeah, the 2nd is a.
Second.
Yeah, the 2nd is a Thursday.
That makes better,
Right.
what?
Yeah, but then you would have your vacation on the mountain
I know, you can relax. I know, Jack.
You don't want that.
Yes, I
I think from now on you have to get an approval when you.
I'm
Well,
so
and
sorry I
same
did.
with- Same with Mike, you need to get an approval from the board when you want vacation.
Yeah, like
Right.
2 years, you know, it's been.
Yeah, 2 years in
Anybody
advance.
anywhere.
okay, so we'll do the board on the 2nd.
Good idea.
Okay.
Now, that still
At
leaves,
7, or at what
Yeah.
time? 7
Yeah.
a.m.
Where are your kids? Here.
that still leaves the
Membership.
general membership as a problem.
Can somebody else present on the 25th, whatever, because you're, I don't have to be there.
2nd at 7.
Okay.
It's a Thursday.
But,
Could somebody else present, you know, the SED proposal?
Well, the general membership, Jack and I could do that.
Yeah.
Jack would
Right.
do the serious stuff.
Right. Because nobody's voting.
But when's this group hours?
Oh, no, it's the 25th. No, see, that won't work.
Jack needs to be there for the presenting.
25, 26, 27.
But then it looks like the 18th, and I just won't be here.
No. Yeah, then it looks like the 18th.
Or we switch it to an evening.
I don't know.
You know, why don't we?
And what would be the, you know, what would be the big thing about making it like October 1st?
It's not, the bylaws say September.
September.
Well,
What about September 28th? That's a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday.
Mhm.
We could do that and just advertise it, and, nobody's voting on, on the STD, you're only gonna present it, you know.
Right, yeah, but we just need a quorum.
But, right, but we'll do absentee ballots then for the
The
the lot, and then you'll have your quorum,
Right.
so, yeah, so the 28th, is that what you said?
28.
So the other ones are on a Tuesday, so at least it's the same day.
Yeah, yeah,
Usually on Saturday.
that's what I was thinking. Pretty sure this is a Saturday, that's why I walked over, I didn't know.
They caused me
That could be expensive.
What's the newsletter going
would you still be willing to do it if it was on the 28th?
on? Sorry.
That's
I think so, yeah, I don't have
What day
anything
of
on
the
the
week was
20th.
that?
It's a Tuesday. 28th seems fine.
At the same time, so.
But I mean, would you be able to do it in lieu of me? You and Jack?
I think so,
Yeah.
I think so.
I know you're able, are you willing?
Oh, well, willing is another story, yeah.
Oh, hey. The September meeting is a Tuesday evening anyway.
Oh,
Yes. 18 years I've been doing this and I still have to look at my notes.
well, then the 28th makes some sense.
Okay.
So that's the general meeting.
Mhm.
7 PM. Is it 7?
Yeah,
I could do the 21st, but I'm probably not gonna be able to do the 28th. But if you're willing to do it,
All right, 28.
So to sum up, we're gonna do the board meeting on the 2nd, Thursday the 2nd, and the general meeting on Tuesday the 28th, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. And Jenny, in response to your question, it has to be delivered 15 days prior, so count back from the 28th.
Okay.
Has to be delivered by the 14th,
Okay.
so since I'm going out of town, bless you, I'm gonna take it to the post office on the 1st of September. So we, yes, I know. It's like boom, 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 isn't it?
And then you'll be back on the.
I am never coming back.
Oh, you're gonna have
She
to.
just announced her application.
right?
Yeah, you'll miss us.
So I actually have to have a newsletter, president's page, by, why, yes, that
In 15 minutes.
by the, let's say the 25th, president's page.
I'm probably gonna see a lot of cut and paste.
That's fine.
By the when?
I would say the 25th, if we can have it. Because I'll have, the rest of it, so if I get the president's page by the 25th, you get final approval, and that gives me, the weekend and whatever to get it processed. Thank you for asking, Jimmy, because I hadn't really, obviously, put my mind to that yet.
I was trying not to put my mind in it.
Well, it works out for the membership.
Can I adjourn this thing?
Yes.